We're doing it on behalf of Icon Talks. So EQ thinking is a totally new pattern of thinking. It's a new concept. So I congratulate all of you who are taking time off on a weekend to participate in this global online conference. Because it is said that once the mind is penetrated by an original idea, it will expand and will never return to its original dimensions. So this is not a lecture, but this is a conference. This is a workshop where you're going to learn a thought process, a thought pattern which you can practice continually and which is very, very simple. So equilibrium thinking was born in my own mind over the course of my entire life. And in the year 1994, I discovered one part of it, which is be at it. Be at it was the first half of this key to the human mind, which I discovered in the year 1994. 1994 is a significant year in the history of thought, because in that year, Daniel Goleman wrote and published his epoch-making, largest non-fiction bestseller, Emotional Quotient or Emotional Intelligence. So EQ, as you know, was not his original idea, but he popularized the concept of emotional intelligence through his book by the same title. But without knowing it, the same year, I went to my office and I wrote in my journal, be at it, which I had discovered in 1981. 3 monosyllables, very simple. A child can understand it and remember it. But it took me 13 years to discover the full pattern, beat it. It shows how dull my mind is. In 1994, as I reached my office of the Superintendent of Police, Ramnath District, I wrote in my journal, as it was my habit, be at it. On the other side, I combined it and it became beat it. Be at it, beat it. And I said, wow, this is a new pattern of thought. It is my aha moment. I said, this is a new pattern which combines 2 distinct parallel thought streams, making it a comprehensive thought pattern. And I asked myself what to call it. And intuitively, without any brainstorming, the answer came equilibrium thinking. In later years, the cool name I adopted was EQ thinking, but EQ there doesn't stand for emotional quotient, but equilibrium thinking. Equilibrium is a sum of multiple quotients of intelligence. You need to use multiple senses. In psychology, they say that we have 5 senses and the 6th sense is equilibrium. How to use all the 5 senses, the 6th sense is equilibrium. And so be at it, beat it is a binary principle, a binary process, a binary model. It is the world's first binary thought process, thought pattern. I'll now take you through the presentation. The triangle of life. This is my concept. Everything, if it is to be effective, should be holistic. It should be congruent with the reality of life. In normal training, we only leverage on mind and body, or physical and mind, and we ignore the spiritual dimension, which is also known as the 4th dimension, but actually it is the 3rd dimension. The mind, as you know, consists of intellect, your rational left brain. It consists of the right brain also, which consists of the emotions, the seat of emotional intelligence. And then it consists of the capacity to execute decisions, to take decisions and execute, that is will. So mind consists of 3 aspects, intellect, emotions, and will. And spirit is spiritual existence, spiritual values like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, and self-control. These transcend the boundaries of religion. These are spiritual values. So any concept or thought pattern should leverage on all three: the physical, the intellectual, and the spiritual. So it is to be holistic. EQ thinking is a holistic thought process. Only if it is holistic, it will be realistic, it will be effective, and it will utilize the capacities of the body, capacities of the mind, and the capacities of the spirit. Till now, the world has been able to develop capabilities, but not capabilities. Capabilities is a word I have coined, which means the ability to cope. How do we cope with this worldwide pandemic? Many people are committing suicide. And that is what made me decide to launch the EQ thinking, though it was discovered and tested with hundreds and hundreds of people in corporate world, prisoners, police officers, and people at the grassroots level in villages too, with classrooms, teachers, students in the last 20 years. But now I thought it's time to introduce it to the entire world. And I decided that every weekend I would do an online seminar of teaching people the concept, the practice, the binary principle of EQ thinking. I relate this triangle which I have drawn, the simple triangle of life, which is very easy to understand, with a little more complex triangle. Bloom's taxonomy. You don't have to worry about technical words like taxonomy. It's neither about tax or the economy. But basically, Bloom created this classification of knowledge at the lowest base level. Like the body is the base level in the triangle of life, here the base level is remembrance, remembering information or data. That is the base level. Most of Indian education is based on rote, and that is using the faculty of remembrance. So when I was teaching in the Shanghai airport security staff, I asked them what is 7 into 9. All of them were looking for their calculators because they had not committed the mathematical tables to memory like we Indians do. If we are woken up in the sleep, we would say, what is 7 into 9? Or 8 into 8, or whatever it is, because we have committed it to memory, which means we have taken it into our subconscious. Even unconsciously, we can give a reply. So the first level is remember. The second level is understand, understanding a concept. And the third level is, once you understand, you have to apply it in your life. Applied knowledge is wisdom. It is analyzed, dividing things into its parts. So here we are in EQ thinking, we are analyzing thought pattern as just two dimensions, the positive, positive, and the negative, negative. That is analysis. And then we have to evaluate whether is it useful? Is it effective? Is it scientific? Is it conforming to how we are configured, how our mind, our lives are configured? And the pyramid is creative thinking. How to create things. Create new concepts. Creation means how to adapt an old idea. If you modify an old idea, that is also a creativity. If you find a new use for an old object, that is also creativity. So creativity has many dimensions, but it is the pyramid of knowledge, the highest level of knowledge. Now let us relate this Bloom's taxonomy and the triangle of life to a third triangle, which is the famous Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or the motivation model. First, we have the deficiency needs of humanity. All of us have common physiological needs. A need for food, for water, the sexual drive. And then we have safety needs, the need for protection, for safety. Now today the entire world is caught in this paroxysm of fear, whether we would be the next number in the worldwide statistic of COVID positive people or COVID fatalities. And that is driving many people to nuts, to panic. And so there is a need to equip ourselves not just with physical distancing or social distancing, wearing masks, hygiene, and improving immunity, but also with the mental thought process, which will change our mind maps, how we interpret reality, and how we face the new reality in the post-COVID world. Following the security needs is self-esteem needs, a sense of pride about oneself, that I have done my best, I have achieved something in life. That is self-esteem needs. Then there is cognitive needs, the need to know more about more things in life. That is the cognitive need, the sense of curiosity in a child, which continues in us even as adults and right through our lives. And then we have aesthetic needs, the needs to appreciate beauty, to create beauty. And finally, at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization or improvement. And finally is transcending that. So we have self-actualization needs at the top, just like we have creative thinking at the top of the triangle or pyramid of knowledge. We have to relate the triangle of life to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and to Bloom's triangle of learning, different types of learning or knowledge. So EQ thinking is based on a holistic triangle of life. It is also contributing to the different levels in Bloom's taxonomy or the Bloom's triangle of knowledge. And it also meets with the various needs of mankind, of every human being, your physical needs. Because if you are, suppose it's a hot summer today in Chennai and in Hyderabad, where most of you are based. It may be a little cold in Texas, where my good friend Krishnanam is tuned in from. And so depending on the climate, your body itself seeks equilibrium or homeostasis. If it is cold, you want to go into a warmer place. If it is warm, you want to move into an environment like this room where it is air conditioned. So equilibrium works, equilibrium thinking works at the physical level, it works at the emotional level, it works at the self-actualization level, and it caters to all the levels of knowledge, leading up to applied knowledge, which is wisdom. It keeps on increasing wisdom. So I am one of the first in the world to say that we need to move the world, not to a knowledge economy, as we have said in the last 30 years, thanks to information technology, but to a wisdom economy based on IT. IT meaning insight technology. EQ thinking is IT with a difference. It is insight technology. How to develop insight into yourself, how to develop insight into others, how to develop insight into real life situations, problems, how to handle them, how to be creative in problem solving. These are the various dimensions of the thought process. So the EQ thinking represents a new pattern of thinking. It is a revolution in thinking. It is not only good for enhancing physical or constitutional equilibrium or our holistic health, which means health of spirit, mind, and body. See, mental health is more valuable even than physical health. And the World Health Organization in the year 2000 said that by the year 2020, ironically, they said 40% of the world's population will suffer from depression. But they did not factor in that in 2020, there was going to be a worldwide disaster like this COVID pandemic. And now the levels of depression due to loss of employment, due to relational frictions, due to health challenges, financial challenges, familial problems, the challenges faced by youngsters, teenagers, the lack of enough opportunities there for them to move upward. All these frustrations will build up, and therefore we need to have a powerful thought process which is realistic. So EQ thinking enhances productivity, creativity, as we mentioned in the connection with Bloom's taxonomy. or Bloom's triangle of knowledge. It also results in balanced decision making while reducing stress, anger, and all other human negativity. It is mindware. I repeat, the word is not software, but mindware. Which I ask you is more powerful, software for a machine like this computer, or is it your mindware? Software has not improved the quality of life. You'll find most of the software engineers, they have maxed out their credit cards. And in the Silicon Plateau of India, Bangalore, which is my home city, the highest suicide and divorce rate among software engineers. And that is why this EQ thinking is particularly relevant to this IT generation, IT-based generation. It is a binary thought process. It's the world's first binary thought process. What is binary? Binary language for a computer is 0, 1, numeric. But for human beings, it is alpha-based. That is, it's word-based. Words have meaning. And the simplest binary language, which all of us, regardless of what our mother tongue or language is, even from our mother's womb, from the uterus, our thought process is based on the binary principle of yes, no. The fetus, even when the mind is developing in the womb, will be thinking, I'm tired, I want to sleep, and be yawning, yes, I'll sleep off. So all these things happen consciously and subconsciously, even from the womb. And even the most complex thinking, even by, say, Warren Buffett, right now, whether I should sell this share or buy this stock in this situation where everything is sliding, values of stocks are sliding, even that is based on yes, no. Whether a country should have relationship with another country, it's also based on yes, no principle. Even whether to launch an aggressive action, it is based on a yes, no principle at the highest level, at the level of the leaders of the country. And therefore, it is mindware based on changing our inner conditioning using a binary programming language. It is a binary, only if it is binary, it consists of 2 bricks. You can build the whole architecture, just like the algorithms of computers facilitates communication on Zoom like this to disparate people in disparate locations. We all come together on a common platform, thanks to the algorithm on which Zoom technology is based. And like that, EQ thinking is a binary programming language. It is a thought process that not only removes the blocks, but turns the stumbling blocks of our lives into building blocks of success. This is a Philippism that I wrote many years ago. Thanks to EQ thinking, I have written the maximum number of original maxims by any human being living or historic so far. 3,333 is going to be published in my very first book of Philippisms. But I'm still writing Philippisms every day. Today I've written about 7 to 10. Like that, on average day, it can vary from 1 to 10. It is due to this thought process continuously working. EQ thinking is ATM, anytime motivation, anytime meditation. It is the world's first ATM. That means you are your own guru. The ATM is within you. You don't need a guru. There is enough resources within you. That is why a Philippism I wrote recently is that the mind is a supercomputer, is a wonderful toolkit with a tool to solve every human problem. But unfortunately, the key to the toolbox is also locked up along with the tools. And that is why you need a master key like EQ thinking to open the supercomputer of the human mind. So when we shift our thought pattern, we lift ourselves to the next level in virtually all domains. This is a Philippism that I wrote a few days ago. When our thought pattern changes, the pattern of our habits will also change. As I practiced EQ thinking, many patterns in my life changed. The pattern of my thinking, my decision making, my daily habits began to change, because you deal not only on a positive level, but also in negating the negative. Negative is also positive. So even in mathematics, If you put minus, plus, it becomes minus. If you put plus, minus, again it is minus. So till now in positive thinking mode, the negatives are not addressed at all. So even the most positive minded person will only be positive to the extent of 20%. And that is why you have the Pareto ratio, which means that even if you have any diary or a computer or a cell phone, you'll be using only 20% of the capacity of that computer or of that mobile or of your physical diary or of the drawer in your table or of your total time or of your total potential. So 80% remains unaddressed, and that is due to the 80% negativity factor. And EQ thinking is the first thought process that addresses the negativity factor even while augmenting our strengths. So till now the world knew only the models like positive thinking. I was reading a joke about a baby mosquito was asked on its first flight, after its first flight by the daddy mosquito, "How did you find your flight?" So the baby mosquito replied, "It was wonderful. I found everyone clapping for me." So in positive thinking, you can be under a delusion. When you are falling down a staircase, you will say, "Oh, I came down so fast," even if it is falling down a flight of stairs. So positive thinking can be delusionary. The book Secret, which was sold as a bestseller across many nations, I know physically it has led to delusion for many people. One of my daughter's classmates, she was studying in a prestigious law school in Delhi. After reading this book, he suddenly got the impulse that he should leave the course and pursue his passion of music. Again, an IAS officer, he read the book. Now, after struggling to get into IAS, after reading the book, he said, "I need to go back and do something else." Of course, he later on succeeded in being a very successful coach for IAS aspirants. But that could be an accident. So many people can be deluded by just positive thinking. So the decisions that we take with a partial thought process like positive thinking can lead at a macro level, it can have a great impact. And that is why my alma mater, London School of Economics, one of my alma maters, London School of Economics, where I went to do a course on globalization as part of a scholarship for excellence and leadership in the year 1997. The LSE and the University of Bath and Cardiff, they've done a joint research, and they found that entrepreneurs who are optimistic, who are on a positive thinking pattern, they had more failure rate than those who are pessimistic. So it doesn't mean that you should be pessimistic. As employees, you may be more productive if you are optimistic, but as entrepreneurs, you have to be proactive. You have to think ahead. What are the problems going to happen? Post this pandemic, how do I make up for the loss of productivity? How do I engage my employees? How do I end this quarter making up for the huge loss in the last 2 months? I, for instance, have given my staff in the civil supplies CID a target that they must double their targets, including major cases, in the coming month, so that we make up for the loss in the last 50 odd days. So we need to be neither pessimistic nor optimistic, but realistic. EQ thinking enables people to be realistic and effective. See, the decisions that we take are made in a split second. When I was facing a mob, my batchmate, my junior actually told me, "Sir, we must fire, otherwise there will be law and order problem. They will start throwing brickbats and violence." So in a split second, I had to take a decision. So the decisions are taken in a split second, but the inputs that go into decision making are made on a 24/7 basis. So therefore, you should not have a thought process that works in fits and starts, but works on a 24/7 basis. That is why I decided we should have a thought process like EQ thinking, which is an ATM, anytime meditation, anytime motivation. 24/7. Even when you're sleeping, the subconscious starts operating based on the programming you have done consciously. We will do the practice in a few minutes later, which will enable you to understand this concept. So this session is intended to provide each one of you a new key to deal with boredom, stress, uncertainty, fears, which are coming up in the wake of this pandemic and the lockdown. It will provide a new process for better, more insightful decision making and greater creativity. Be at it, beat it is like doing the illogical. You're having two thoughts at the same time in your mind, and both are opposites. But I've invented this phrase, complementary opposites. In nature, many of things are complementary opposites, day and night. There's a rhythm of day and night. And you're breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in is be at it. Breathing out is beat it. So these are complementary opposites. So Dr. Shad Helmstetter, who devoted his entire life to studying the importance of self-talk, that means as I'm speaking, it is not what I am saying that is impacting you, but what you are saying about what I am saying that is impacting you. That is your self-talk. Some of you are saying this is too complex. Some of you are saying this is too simple. Some of you are saying, what is this leading up to? Is there anything new, as he's saying? So it is your self-talk that is making you say yes, no, whether I should attend this session, whether I should continue in this session, whether it will be useful to me, whether it is a good investment in time, whether I learn something new. So the programming creates beliefs. Your binary programming, every programming involves two elements only, like 0, 1, yes, no. So in this, be at it is yes, beat it is no. So this is programming will create beliefs. I can do it. I can succeed despite this bad market. I can revive my business. I can do well in my studies. This is a belief. But the next level of belief is doing it. And the third level is I have done it. So the belief creates attitude. So the attitude is a habit of thought. If you continually think for 21 days in a particular pattern, that becomes your attitude. If you continuously do something for 21 days, that becomes a habit of action and behavior. So that is why we said that once you learn this, you need to practice it for 21 days. Your brain gets reprogrammed in 21 days, according to psychologists. Astronauts, when they studied them for the first time in zero gravity environment, they saw everything topsy-turvy, and they wore the goggles and they were disoriented. But on the 21st day, the brain reconfigured itself, remapped itself, and they could see things right side up. They got oriented. Similarly, this programming language you need to apply for 21 days. It's very simple, so it's easy to apply. You will start applying by the end of this session. Then the feelings will determine actions. Whether I feel good about EQ thinking, that will lead you to take action. So the feelings or emotions will lead to actions. As Daniel Goleman said, EQ or emotional intelligence, I have summed it up in a very simple way. None of you can forget what I teach. Be at it, beat it are the only two things you need to learn from this session. Other than that, what is EQ? EQ is SS mess. If you do not have SS mess in your life will be in a mess. The first S stands for self-awareness. The roots of all this goes back to Greek thought. Socrates said, knowing yourself is the secret or essence of knowledge. Knowing yourself is the essence of your self-improvement, of achievement, of success, of happiness. But he did not say what is knowing yourself. By practicing EQ thinking and teaching it, I have discovered that knowing yourself means knowing not only your strengths, but your weaknesses. Western thinkers will tell you it's not necessary to talk about your weaknesses. And they would say that you just need to concentrate on 6 signature strengths. And that is what has led to the angularities in Western civilization and culture. So EQ thinking is a global congruent way of thinking which combines Eastern meditation and Western meditation. Eastern meditation is emptying your mind, like in yoga. In Western meditation, it is filling your mind. Both alone are not enough. You need to configure both, emptying the mind of negative thoughts and filling the mind with positive thoughts. So in a room like this, when you switch on the light, that is be at it, the positive, the darkness will go. You do not ask the darkness to go away. You switch on the light, that is be at it, that will beat the darkness. So when we change our self-awareness, that leads to self-regulation, how to increase my strengths, how to decrease my weaknesses. That is self-regulation. And Daniel Goleman hints about it, that for a person to improve his EQ or emotional intelligence, there should be a continuous inner dialogue. And that is why he underlines the importance of meditation. And he went for various conclaves with the Dalai Lama and other Buddhist leaders to find out whether Buddhism has a solution to improve emotional intelligence. But even after 3 decades of research and American corporations spending billions of dollars on a way to discover a way to enhance emotional intelligence, they have not found a single way. And Stephen Covey, the management guru, writes in his book, The Greatness Habit, that I have surveyed the entire literature on emotional intelligence. It's all very good, but I find very little to show how you can improve emotional intelligence. EQ thinking will instantly and continually and lifelong improve our emotional intelligence. It will improve our self-awareness, our self-regulation through self-talk. And M, S, M stands for motivation. How do I stay motivated as a police officer, as a trainer, as a thinker, as a writer? We do face brickbats all the time. But what I've written recently is, whoever throws brickbats at you, you accept it and make it the strong foundation for your future growth. So many people, even in the police, would decry this. What is this? Be at it, beat it. I have faced this personally, but that should not deter you. And therefore, you go ahead with persistence, and then you will impact people. As I show you, the number of people who have been impacted even in the last 3 weeks is quite amazing. So programming creates beliefs, beliefs create attitudes, attitudes creates feelings. That's what I said. Emotional intelligence is SSMS, self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, then empathy. Empathy is feeling the pain of another person as if it is your own. So that is why under the Friends of Police, we felt the pain of so many displaced and stranded migrant labor and poor in the city of Chennai and all parts of Tamil Nadu. So I gave a direction to Friends of Police across state to try to reach out and help the poor. And I do not know how they are doing it, but all over the state, they are raising funds, they are providing grocery meals, packets and meals to people, to policemen as well as poor and needy people. In Chennai, under my direction, every day we provide 100 grocery essentials, including 5 kg rice, 1 kg oil and others, condiments and vegetables, to 100 needy families, which would feed them for at least 1 or 2 weeks. This is because empathy. It's not enough to just think. We have to be practitioners. It's not enough just to talk. We have to execute. So we have done things at the execution level. EQ thinking improves your execution quotient. It improves your imagination quotient. It improves your creativity quotient. So the equation for EQ thinking is high Q or high quality is equal to EQ plus SQ plus PQ plus IQ. The last IQ doesn't stand for intelligence quotient, but imagination quotient. Einstein said, it is not my intelligence that I treasure, but my ability to fantasize. That is more valuable than my intelligence. And that is what enabled him to create the fantastic theory of relativity. Out of nothing, he was able to theorize without a previous model. And so it improves your spiritual quotient, because the values of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, self-control, and wisdom, 10 digital values. 10 digits, 10 fingers stands for 10 digits. So 10 spiritual values which continually saturate your subconscious, and then it will impact your conscious level also, and your thoughts, your actions. So motivation is the SSMS. E is empathy, and the last SS stands for social skills. How to solve problems, effective, cost effectively. When I joined the police, I said my only challenge is how to humanize the police. Why does the police have a negative image, even though it is meant to only serve the people? And I said we need a mass movement in community policing. And due to this EQ thinking, my brain threw up the solution of FOP, or Friends of Police. It became planted on the internet. Soon after, the internet itself came into existence as an international blueprint for community policing. And today, it is the only available international blueprint for community policing. So I'm giving you these as examples of how your creative thinking can lead to problem solving. So actions will create results. So this is how we can create change. You start with the self and create change in the environment. So you see the environment and the self. This is an X-ray or anatomy. There's a concentric circle is an X-ray or anatomy of your psyche, your psycho-spiritual being. Your innermost core of your mind is the subconscious self. It is a biocomputer, a supercomputer. Even the average mind is a supercomputer. And therefore, there is no average. That's why I wrote a Philippism 2 days back. Leverage means leave the average behind. Leave your average behind. Keep improving. That is self-actualization. Excellence is not an action, Aristotle said. It is a habit of repeated action. So EQ thinking translates our thoughts into repeated action. Be at it means continually. You cannot breathe once and live. You have to continually breathe till your death. You cannot just breathe in, you have to breathe out. That is how our bodies and nature is configured. And therefore, next to the subconscious self, the biocomputer is the input of values. I already mentioned 10 digital values. You continually intake it with just monosyllables. Be loving, beat hatred. Be joyful, beat sadness. Be wise, beat foolishness. Always complementary opposites. All of us learned in school opposites, high, low, fat, thin, rich, poor, and all that. We do not know why we are learning opposites. But now you know how to apply these complementary opposites to transform our thought pattern, transform our minds, transform our lives, transform the world and society at large. So the thoughts will get changed, that will lead to new attitudes. And that in turn will lead to feelings, emotions, understanding other people's feelings, the pain of others, understanding our own emotions and feelings, and then alter finally behavior. Normal training that many of you would have attended actually dissipates within no time. The reason is because the intervention takes place at the superficial behavioral level. It will make you feel happy and glad at the end of the training, but like the honeymoon effect, it will evaporate and you will return to ground zero in no time. But EQ thinking is something you practice yourself, within yourself, throughout your life, right from now, and that creates change. A tiny change, it is said, according to engineering discipline, at the innermost core of the subconscious self, will lead to a cascade change or massive explosion of energy and power at the superficial or behavioral level. And that is the reason why EQ thinking works. So in the absence of such a thought process, we are overcome by the negative environment. How do we know the environment is mostly negative? If you take a newspaper, 95 or 99% of the items will be all about negativity. Every headline will be saying something. So many workers were sleeping on the rail track and they were run over. And that a child was raped in such and such place. You will not find any positive or good news. Because the media is based on the principle that if a dog bites a man, it's not news. But when a man bites a dog, it is news. It's based on negative patterns, reinforcing the negative. And now we are altering it. If we do not alter it, it will lead to hormones. Even our hormones are configured in binary mode, a binary pattern. We have dopamine, which is a happy hormone. When you feel good, after you have listened to good music, seen some good entertainment program, a movie, there is a flow of a happy hormone called dopamine. When you're relaxed, there is a relaxant called serotonin, which enables you to relax and not feel stressed. And the opposite is negative hormones like cortisol. This thickens even the cardiac arteries, the arteries that lead to the heart and lead to heart disease. It affects the immune system. And that is why during this pandemic, the greatest emphasis is being laid by authorities on improving immunity, not only by taking medicines like A to D, vitamins, and various other natural remedies, but you must also have a thought process like EQ thinking to improve your EQ thinking, your total immunity. Because the interdisciplinary discipline called psychoneuroimmunology has found out that 95% of all disease is psychosomatic. The root cause is psychology, the way we think. And positive thinking is a good, very good placebo, but equilibrium thinking is more effective because it will not only enable you to respect your fears, but overcome your unrealistic fears, your irrational fears. I tell people, do not conquer fears. I say respect your fears and overcome the unreasonable fears. So this thought comes because of EQ thinking thought process. It affects productivity and effectiveness. If we are under stress, we'll make wrong choices and decisions. And that affects productivity and effectiveness. You see the cases of a baron who was in India. Today he's a fugitive in the United Kingdom. And he says, you take away all my assets, but do not send me to jail. Now, because those decisions were taken not based on a holistic thought process. When things were good, hunky-dory, as they say, they took decisions which were unrealistic. And that is why you find many industrialists, business people, they take some rash decisions which they later realize are so foolish. I met one of an industrialist recently, and he said his entire house, it was worth 100 crores, was seized by the bank. And they drove him out of his house. And even his daughter was not allowed to take even the essential medicine she needed. And I asked, why did this happen? He said, I was foolish. I became arrogant. I didn't listen to people. I expanded my business too much. I over-leveraged. Took too much of bank liabilities. And then the bank started calling back the loan, and the entire so-called empire fell. And therefore, stress leads to distorted decision-making. EQ thinking will deal with all this. Now, this is a paradigm of value-creating competence. Mother Teresa was imbued, obsessed with the value of love and service. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, was obsessed with the idea of truth and non-violence. And therefore, he converted moral energy into a political weapon against the mightiest empire on which the sun never set, which is the British Empire. So the value drove his vision that he wants a free India. The value drove Mother Teresa the vision that she must serve the dying and the living and give dignity to those who are dying. And that vision produced passion. It led to resources. She got competent teams, and they set up institutions all over the world, all over the country, and serving the objective, reinforcing the value. So this is the value creates competence model. EQ thinking is based on that. I studied hundreds of great lives, and I found that the great people were people who were obsessed with one or two values. They lived it, ate it, breathed it. And that produced in them the ability as well as the competence. It gave them the strategies also. So EQ thinking will teach ordinary people around the world to imitate these great people by continually imbibing and being obsessed with values. Be loving, beat hatred. Be joyful, beat sadness. Be wise, beat folly. Be healthy, beat sickness. It can be something so practical as that. Be healthy, beat sickness. Be successful, beat failure. All complementary opposites. How is it different from other thought processes? I mentioned positive thinking, which is only one side of the truth or one half of the truth, though it is not a half truth. Our negatives are too deeply ingrained to be dealt with only by positive thinking. Again, lateral thinking of de Bono, we find that criminals are using lateral thinking more because it does not have a binary. Now I have put lateral thinking within a binary process thanks to EQ thinking. I said you must think outside the box, but within the circle of ethics or values. Only then it will be useful for humanity. Otherwise you'll be thinking how to kill, how to destroy, how to cheat. And that is why the 9/11 attack on American soil on the Twin Towers is one of the best instances of lateral thinking. So EQ thinking is different from positive thinking, lateral thinking, and other approaches. It is bifocal, it is simple, it is binary, it is integrated, holistic approach. It is based on the best principles of human learning. What are the best principles of human learning? You need at least 6 exposures to learn even something as simple as EQ thinking. That's why I said you need 21 days to fully practice it and understand it and continue it lifelong. Your subconscious will get fully programmed in 21 days. I allow participants to rejoin because they can reinforce the learning. So many people have joined for the 4th time today. But of course, I always say that you bring in at least 2 new participants. I hope those who have joined, including some personnel working under me, they have actually brought in 2 new people. And so it brings reinforcement of learning. And this is what enabled me from moving from a mediocre student to be the #1 student in the state of Karnataka. I continually reviewed whatever I learned before. When I write a new concept, I write and learn, I review the notes for all the previous items, starting from the first one. That is continual repetitive reinforcement. It is similar to the EQ thinking be at it, beat it process. And then it bridges the gap between knowledge and application. Know a little, use a lot. My emphasis is use a lot. There is no use in gathering a lot of head knowledge. You may be from IIT or MIT or wherever, but if that head knowledge is not translated into applied knowledge, it is of no use. So EQ thinking is useful only if you practice it. If you start practicing it right now, here and now, and continue practicing it lifelong, it bridges the gap between concept and experience, precept and practice. So it is based also on a paper that I wrote called I.P.S. I.P.S is not Indian Police Service, but image, performance, substance. Image is all these elements, all the psycho-spiritual elements, principles, self-image, worldview, beliefs, value system, ideology, character, attitudes, philosophy, conscience, and so on. Then performance is what you do, capabilities, talent, skills, knowledge, role, and responsibility. Substance is resources, money, time, relationships. So the ideal paradigm or pattern is image over performance, performance over substance, all 3 congruent, acting congruently. This is like the triangle which we first saw in the first slide of physical, intellectual or mind and spiritual. It incorporates all these 3 elements. So if you want to improve yourself, you don't start with improving your money position, but start with what you are, image. Improve what you are and you'll improve what you do. When you improve what you do, you'll improve what you have. But normally management parlance and orientation will teach you to try to improve your substance. Everywhere in management schools, even in Ivy League, they teach you how to improve your bottom line. But that is a topsy-turvy approach. And that is why we don't see many results in real life. But the ideal way is improve what we are, we'll improve what we do. When we improve what we do, we'll improve what we have. Image, performance, substance. So image-driven individuals are leaders in pursuit of excellence. Excellence is, as Aristotle said, is continuous improvement. It is habitual excellence. Performance-driven individuals are managers in pursuit of success. Substance-driven individuals are profiteers in search of excess. So be at it, beat it are the anchors to manage. So if you want to manage anger, this is the source code. So be calm, beat anger. That will be the anchor to improve your physical existence, your mind, and your spirit. The spirit is unlimited resources. Mind has limitations. Body has limitations. And that is why you need to bring in the spiritual dimensions. Infinite capacity the spirit has. And so even if there are deficiencies in body and mind, it is made up by the infinite expansive capacity of the spiritual dimension. And be at it, beat it, leverages on all three. It anchors into the spirit, into the mind, into the body. So it creates an equilibrium in the individual and equilibrium with the environment and the world at large. The world itself, you see, the earth is always in equilibrium. It is appearing to be still as I'm speaking here, but actually it is a spaceship which is moving very fast, covering great distances. But because of two complementary opposites, centripetal and centrifugal forces acting on this sphere at the same time, it appears to be still or equilibrium. That is why Debishis Chatterjee, a management professor, says equilibrium is stillness in motion. It is the skill of Sachin Tendulkar as he is hitting a six. Every moment he is appearing to be still, but he is in motion. Stillness in motion. So when you have mastered something, you will be like you are always still, but you are actually in motion. That kind of mastery comes from continual practice. It says that, as I said, 21 days is needed minimum to trigger the start. But actually it takes 10 years for complete mind change. I have now practiced EQ thinking for 20 years. It enabled me to recover from one of the worst traumatic experiences any human being can go through. I was drowned to death in the sea once, and within another year, I was nearly killed in the world's first human bomb assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. But I came out of both these traumatic incidents. Initially, I was affected, but by continually practicing these principles, binary principles, I could strengthen myself physically, intellectually, emotionally, and in every sense, and overcome everything. So be at it, beat it, basically is just a new paradigm. Be positive, that is not nothing new. But together it is a new pattern. Be positive, be negative. You're acting not only on the income side, but also on the expenditure side, reducing your expenditure, wasteful expenditure of emotions and energy through anger, anxiety, worry, arguments, fear. All these result in no productive actions. So be positive, be negative will give a new sense of direction, which will enable you to treat you as you, not as you are, but to treat you as you can become. Even as Goethe has said it in this principle, which is written here. So I wrote a Philippism 2 days ago, which says the most deadly and contagious virus is not COVID, it is human negativity. But the good news is that it is curable through EQ thinking. But you must have a desire for being cured. And the desire should be strong. And that I believe you have a strong desire. That is why you have registered. And you're attending this on a Saturday afternoon. So how do you practice it? Now the current context due to the pandemic and its psychological impact, depression, diseases of mind and body, suicide, violence and crime is going to take a tectonic shift in gears upwards. There's going to be a change in the quantum. So the psychology of combating a global pandemic with EQ thinking, I call myself the founder of equilibrium psychology. Till now the world had psychology to deal with negatives. Then the 1980s, Martin Seligman of the American Psychology Association started the positive psychology movement. But both these are not effective as I explained. You need equilibrium psychology where you deal with both at the same time. Now, why did psychologists not discover this till now? It is such a simple thing. The reason is, till now they talk about the embedded negative. Now, suppose I ask all of you, don't think about white polar bear. What are you thinking about? You're all thinking about white polar bear, even though I told you don't think about it. Suppose you tell your children don't go to this site on internet. When you're not looking what they're doing, they will act as if they're sleeping and they'll switch it on and they will see it either on the mobile or on the iPad. You have done the same thing. We have done the same thing in our childhood. So the embedded negative is triggered when you tell people not to do things. Shiv K. Rao was telling me, when I told him about this new concept of EQ thinking, he was saying, A study was done on Lufthansa Airways, and that when you tell people don't panic, you tell the passengers don't panic, they'll start panicking. Now, I have actually overcome this embedded negative triggered by telling a negative command by using the word beat. So one trainer, he invited me for lunch and he said that you have overcome it by using the pugilistic positive word beat. So whenever you say India beat some country in cricket, you feel happy. I beat that person in chess, or I beat that person in running. It has a positive meaning. So be and beat are two verbs which have positive meaning. So you convert the negative into a positive, or you can reduce the negative, the degree of the negativity. Both these happen when you beat the negative. So the basic pattern is be strong, beat weakness. Likewise, after several repetitions, you can state the binary affirmation / negation of negative. I am strong, I have beaten weakness. This is different from Emily Cohn's auto-suggestion. This is auto-command. I use the word command unlike other psychologists in the world so far because only you have authority over yourself. No one else has authority. No government, no police officer has authority over you. Only you have authority over yourself. And if you have authority, you will not suggest, you will command yourself. So one of the principles of EQ thinking is onus on us. Onus, O-N-U-S. That means the responsibility is mine. I have to take charge of myself from today, from now. And I will see what I can do in this current bad situation. How to beat it. How to improve my life. How to improve myself. How to improve my environment. So be strong, beat weakness. Now why is repetition required? It is not because it's a mantra. It is a mantra. That means training of man to be man. Because Napoleon Hill says it's an unconscionable fact that the subconscious mind, which is a biocomputer, as I told you, can understand a command only after several repetitions. Unlike this computer, you press a button, it will understand. It will carry out the command. But the biocomputer of the subconscious will understand like a child only after several repetitions. Another reason is already all of you at the age of, most of you I understand are in the age profile of 20 to 40. By the age of 25, you already heard 50,000 no's as against some 10,000 yeses. So the proportion of negativity is much higher. You have been conditioned negatively. And you've heard 18 no's to 1 yes, even from parents, older siblings, peers, teachers, and so on. And therefore, you're negatively conditioned. And you're more aware of the negative possibility than the positive ones. And therefore, to reverse it, your default condition is now be weak, beat strength. Your default condition of human beings is be depressed, beat joy. Be, a failure, beat success. That is why I wrote a Philippism which said, mankind is designed for success, but programmed for failure. So EQ thinking changes your programming language. And you can keep on inputting with two monosyllables, be and beat. Then for overcoming anger, to access an ATM, you need a PIN. PIN means personally identified negative. If I identify your negative or someone else identifies your negative, including your spouse or sibling or parent, you'll point back 5 fingers at them. But if you identify your negative, they become nodal points of growth. Suppose you acknowledge that you have anger. 40% of audiences that I address, they acknowledge they have anger. And so how to beat it? You use the binary command, be calm, beat anger. You repeat it, be calm, beat anger. And after many repetitions, it penetrates the subconscious. And you achieve that calmness and you are able to overcome anger. The programming changes from the default condition of be angry, beat calmness. It is like switches. The mind is full of many binary switches. Now the switches are put in the opposite direction because they have tripped. You just now alter it to the other's position. Be calm, beat anger. Be joyful, beat sadness. Be healthy, beat sickness. Be wise, beat folly. There are 100 such values that you can practice. So the PIN again, PIN is personally identified negative, is short temper, which is slightly different from anger. You can have a short fuse. You have to use a binary command, be relaxed, beat stress. No hard and fast, verbs. You can change the thing, be relaxed, beat tension. You can use your own language. That flexibility is there. There's no hard and fast thing that you have to use only these words. But the pattern should be first positive, second negative, negative. So Stephen Covey also endorses it by saying our tendency is to run with our strengths and leave weaknesses undeveloped. Sometimes that's fine when we can organize to make the weaknesses irrelevant through the strength of others. But most of the time it isn't, because the full utilization of our capacity requires overcoming those weaknesses. So we need to improve our capabilities, which are based on our strengths, and our capabilities, which are based on our negative handling capacity. So the plumb line, you need a plumb line to test if a wall is being built erect in your house. So how much more important is these areas of self-management? It's more difficult to manage yourself than to manage the whole country like India or China or any other country. And therefore, you only can manage yourself. And the factors positively influencing it are the attitudes which affect thought, temperament, tongue, talent, time. These are the 5 domains of self-management. And the opposite side, there are the inhibitors which affects thought, temperament, tongue, talent, and time. So when this was taught, even over the last 2 weeks, we got endorsements from one Praveen, manager of a bank. He says, "What an amazing session, sir. I always listen to motivational speakers when I commute to work in the car. It helps me balance as I am a very stressed out individual. Today, listening to your talk, many motivational speakers talk, sir, does not chart a map to remove negativity like yours. I have put forth today's 21 days, I will surely try this programming to remove the negativity. This gives us a path to follow. It is really a dream to achieve." Then we have Aditi Madhusudan. She says that the session was fabulous, helped me overcome all the negative vibes I have been facing from people for the work I'm doing. See, the social worker who does a lot of work feeding stray animals, stray dogs, and she was getting brickbats. So I gave her an intervention. I said, practice this binary command, be joyful, beat sadness, be cheerful, beat depression. And she quickly recognized her mood, and she was able to flip over quickly like a switch. It takes only seconds to switch over. And she says, they did pick me up and I'm evolving into a better person. Another person, he says, Johnny says, sir, spent a fruitful hour in our seminar. The binaries, be at it, beat it, unlock the energy within me, and it stimulates new thoughts. As you said, another binary, critical thinking and creative thinking. Cascade effect, modeling, and everything you said was superb. So the methods of practicing equilibrium thinking are 5: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, understand, and modeling. Visual means you see on a screen. When you say be calm, see yourself being calm. And when you say beat anger, visualize yourself overcoming normal provocations. Suppose your spouse is the one who is provoking you. You visualize yourself staying calm even when she is saying something which is provocative. Or your child, or your colleague, or a difficult boss, or a stranger, whoever it is, you visualize. It says 1 time visualizing in the mind is equal to 2 times actually experiencing it. And everything is visualized once in the mind before you actually do it. The next is auditory. 60% of audiences are auditory learners. You practice with your self-talk. You don't even have to verbalize. Inside your mind, you have a chatter, a self-talk, at the rate of some 120 words per minute. Even as I'm speaking, this chatter is going on in your mind. When is he going to stop? When are we able to? Some of you are anxious to ask questions. I can see John Thomas laughing, which means he wants to ask some questions. Auditory is practicing auditorily. Be calm, beat anger. Be loving, beat hatred. Be joyful, beat sadness. Auditorily, that is your inner ear. Initially, I'll make you repeat it to overcome resistance since this is a new practice. Kinesthetic. Kinesthetic means you do and learn. Many of you are teachers. If you do something, you learn something very well. This is a Chinese philosophy also, do and learn. So kinesthetic means you breathe in, that is something doing. You breathe in, that is be at it. Breathe out is beat it. So you breathe in calmness, breathe out anger. Breathe in happiness, breathe out sadness. Breathe in wisdom, breathe out folly. So even such profound values you can practice physically. So our bodies itself is configured in this pattern of be at it, beat it. That is why when I gave my audio CD, which some of you can take, ask for later on to the organizers, to His Excellency Abdul Kalam, when he became president and he was my protectee in 2004, he listened to it for 15 minutes and he said, this is excellent programming. I said, why sir, why do you say it is excellent? He said, in success, you need a rhythm. In life, there is a rhythm, day and night. Even every wave has an up and down movement. Even the cardiac measurement is also up and down. The brain also is measured in up and down wave. If it is flat, that means we are dead. So kinesthetic is practicing with a binary movement of breathing in, breathing out, walking, right leg, be calm, left leg, beat anger, be strong, beat weakness, be healthy, beat sickness, be successful, beat failure. So you are reprogramming your mind using a physical method. That has never happened before in any learning process, where you can use a physical process to translate a mental thought process into action. So that is why you can blend it with your daily lifestyle. You don't have, like yoga, you don't have a need a particular place, particular time. You don't have to change your body posture. While you're walking, and one man thought this is too simple, it cannot work. He was a very fastidious company secretary of a multinational company. He heard me in one of my talks and he said, let me practice it during my 20-minute constitutional walk in Ananagar Tower Block. And he found significant change, and even his neighbors found, and he asked me to do a workshop for his top management. So he used the walking method. You can use it with binary, anything binary, like exercise. Every day I do 1 hour of exercise. Every stretching movement is be at it. That means be strong, beat weakness, be wise, beat folly, be joyful, beat sadness, be healthy, beat sickness, be relaxed, beat stress. You is understand. Even if you understand it as a concept, it will change your life. It will change your decision making. It will make you more rational and proactive and productive. So be at it, beat it is more simple than De Bono's 6 hats. He has so many hats. But here it makes it very simple, just a dual principle, be at it, beat it. That means you find out what are the inputs which are positive, what are the inputs which are negative, how to handle the negative inputs. So any decision will become more balanced or in equilibrium. The fifth method is modeling, which is a combination of all these 4. You will combine visual cues in somebody you take as a role model for calmness, for anger management, for wisdom, for success. You study those cues and practice it in your daily life. How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he pause? How does he listen? What are the books he reads? What is his lifestyle? That is the modeling method. So already we've given case studies from recent participants, but these are participants in a research study that I did, which was validated by a psychologist with 22 years experience in the year 99-2000. And you found that enabled people to overcome habits like smoking, solve family problems effectively, overcome nervous breakdown, overcome anger, stress, tension. So this is the study which was published by American doctors as an alternative holistic therapy. You'll find it on the net, EQTHINKING, an alternative holistic therapy on www.humanehealthcare.com. So it is a therapy for people. You are your own psychologist in this. You are your own psychiatrist. You see, many psychologists itself commit suicide because they keep on absorbing like a sponge the stress. They have no way to give out the negativity they've absorbed from their patients or clients. I found a very nice lady in Trichy when I was commissioner. Later on when I asked, they said, sir, she has committed suicide. An MPhil in psychology. And that is because they have no way to flush out. And that's what this Aditi Madhusudan wrote today also spontaneously. These are unsolicited, spontaneous feedbacks given by those who benefit from it. She said, now I found a way to just flush out the negative. You know, just like in the toilet, you flush out the negative. And you build what is strong, what is necessary, what is positive. So it creates attitudinal changes in all domains, as I mentioned in an earlier quote. Work to spiritual, emotional, intellectual, social, family, self-improvement, relations. So it is a simple key to open even the most complex lock of the human mind. This is a key that has eluded psychiatrists like Freud, Carl Jung, and others, because they look for only one element. Like Freud said that there is a search for equilibrium between id, libido, and superego. Libido is the sexual drive. Superego is the higher spiritual aspirations. Id is the ego. So, but they looked at it only from one dimension, either the positive or the negative. For the first time in the history of thought and psychology, we are looking at two elements like 0 and 1, how to reinforce the yes, how to negate the no. Negating the negative is also positive. So you have two ways to grow, parallel growth patterns that you can build simultaneously by cultivating binary habits all the time. So with this, I conclude the presentation, and I would now take on questions. You could use the chat mode preferably, or if you are not able to use the chat mode, then you are able to unmute yourself and also ask audibly without disturbing the whole flow. Make your questions crisp, clear, brief. If I do not know the answer, some other participant or the host will also attempt to answer. So you can, if the host is got the questions in the chat mode, you please share it with me on the screen. You ask if there are any questions in chat. Mr. Ravinder, are you able to hear me? Screen can be removed, I think. Yes, we have to unmute.
Yeah. Sir, thank you very much. Sorry, there was some technical glitch. I was unable to mute myself. I just requested my host to remove, unmute myself. Thank you very much for your time on this session, sir. It's really, personally, I am encouraged. I learned a lot of things out of this session. Like you said, I've been to a couple of motivational classes or sessions. Because I work in an IT industry for almost 15 plus years.
I know.
We attend a couple of sessions in motivational talks and all that from different platforms, from different people across coming from across the globe. So this is one of the kind of a different session I have attended. A lot of things. Actually, I was taking my notes as well while I am talking. While I am listening to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for taking time. I got a lot of the abbreviations got a rename to it. A lot of new abbreviations like PIN and all those ATM. Lot of very catchy words where which can be remembered over lifetime, and we can ponder upon going forward in the days to come. Thank you very much for that, sir. I like the phrase beat it, be it, and beat it. I like that phrase very much.
Yeah, together, be at it, beat it.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I would like to ask all my delegates, please post your questions here, and so that we can take it up. I can pass it on to Dr. Prateep.
So, Mr. Ravinder, even your IT companies, if you want a 21-day programming coaching ending in a certificate, you can let me know.
Sure, sir. I'll definitely work it out with my management. I'll definitely look
Practitioner
forward to.
certificate, and those who want to become trainers worldwide, we'll give a master trainer's certificate also.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sir, there is one question. How, from Upendra Indian. So, sir, how powerful is this ET?
How powerful is this ET? I'll tell you, probably not from my own words. One Rajkumar youngster, he has never met me before that. He was in BIT in final year, and he was facing competition from better prepared candidates from more affluent families, better read students, for selection to blue chip companies like TCS. And Ravinder will know there will be 4 levels of elimination. Now, before that, he was feeling very depressed and discouraged. And he accidentally, by serendipity, hit upon my website. That time it was a very primitive website compared to today's website. Now the website people today have written in the Facebook, it's great, it's excellent. So that time it was a very simple website. And he understood, because he was a student of programming, he was IT engineer, very easily the concept. And he reprogrammed his mind. And when he went to the 4 levels, each board chairman on TCS wrote, this chap is so good, we must take him into our company. They sent the note to the next thing. And later, in many years after practicing it, and he excelled in whatever he did, he wrote to me a testimony saying that this is one of the most powerful weapons in the world. This is not a weapon like coronavirus which destroys life. It is a weapon to enhance life. It is life-giving bullets. My bullets penetrate your heart, it will give you life from within.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. And one more appreciation, of course, it is, first of all, a fantastic presentation. As you said, it takes practice. Would you suggest an accountability group to help each other to stay at it? This is from Gateway Church, Mumbai.
It is coming from Mumbai, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the thing is very good question and response. You can join a WhatsApp group, which my tech admin Godwin will, you send your WhatsApp number and name and details, and all those who participated and are interested will can immediately join that EQ Thinking group on WhatsApp. And then those who are interested in, as I said, certified program for 21 days where there is hand-holding and coaching by me over online as well as other ways for one-to-one, over 21 days till you are stable, till you know that you can do it lifelong. That also is another way, but you can, all of you can join the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, thank you, sir. One more appreciation. Of course, my delegates, the website is on the chat box. You can just take note of that and visit the website for all the inquiries and all the help that you need. You can get in touch with Dr. PRATEEP going forward. And also, there is one more question from Dr. Vijay Kumar Kupla. How much you enlightened your spiritual power through ET?
Yeah, that is also spiritual dimension is explored on a continual basis. It's a anytime meditation. And anytime can become all the time meditation. So while you are teaching, while you're eating, while you're talking, while you're handling a law and order situation, there's a self-talk going. Now you're reprogramming the self-talk to become positive. So and you're using values. Shad Helmstetter did not talk about programming language with values. He said the programming language should be simple and precise. It cannot be more simple and precise than just 2 monosyllables, be and beat. And now you're connecting the 2 simple monosyllables with spiritual dimension of love, joy, peace. So you don't have to explain to anybody what is peace. Be peaceful, beat struggle, beat conflict, beat fear. So there are so many nuances depending on your pin, which nuance is affecting you. So when I taught a 100-member MBA team in Karvi in the year 2002 or something, in Liba, the vice president did not know what is happening. After 3 months, he sent me a letter, which is on the website, EQTHINKING.com. He said, you have a winner of a program which produces winners. Our total sales in the same market conditions with no promotion, no advertisement drive, no incentives, moved from 4 crore to 32 crores, 800% improvement. And this is what Daniel Goleman says. EQ is the holy grail. If you find a way to improve EQ, you'll improve profitability, productivity, which means you'll improve profitability. That's why American corporations have invested billions of dollars. They have not found a way. But EQ thinking will improve EQ, SQ, PQ. SQ is what you're asking, spiritual quotient. Spiritual quotient means understanding what is my position in the whole universe. And how can I be a positive force for change? So it gives you confidence. You see, I am just a policeman, but I have the confidence that I can teach the entire world EQ thinking in the course of my life. As a young police officer, I created the idea of Friends of Police. And till today, there's a lot of resistance even at very senior levels. But I overcame all that resistance and beat it. And it is now accepted by the Ministry of Home Affairs as a model for the whole country. And many parts of the world, they have accepted it. I have Japanese professors coming to study it in Chennai. I have had Kenyan teams coming to study it. So spiritual means is infinite. So I have infinite capacity. You will develop your infinite capacity to solve problems. That is the spiritual dimension. Infinite joy, infinite capacity to face pain. See, I suffered the greatest pain in my life. All these bones were fractured in the human bomb that killed Rajiv Gandhi. I have 100 steel pellets in my body. I am the only human being on the planet to suffer 2 near death, once in the sea and once in the bomb blast, the first human bomb blast. And so I should have become a wreck mentally, emotionally, professionally, in every sense. But within 1 year, by God's grace, again I say I acknowledge everything in God's name. It's only God's grace, like a phoenix, I came up from the ashes. I created the concept of Friends of Police and sold it to the Chief Minister in one speech like this. I said, Madam, you are not only a friend of people, but you're a friend of police. I request you to extend this movement to the whole state of Tamil Nadu. With the same tone I spoke. And she immediately passed an order, which stands till today, to extend it to the whole state of Tamil Nadu, a young officer's idea. And so that it is the spiritual prowess that enables us to succeed. In every walk of life, it is the spiritual prowess that will ultimately enable. We are all not human beings living a part-time spiritual existence. We are spiritual beings living a part-time human existence. That is why we are all sitting together and talking about such things.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, there are a couple of questions I would like to bring it, sir. This one is from Mamata Tirumala. How to balance equilibrium thinking and logical thinking?
So what happens in equilibrium thinking is almost illogical. You're combining positive 2 thoughts at the same time, which is impossible. The mind cannot hold 2 thoughts at the same time. But because there is positivity and negativity and together, positivity is there in negativity and negativity is there in positivity. You are merging it and you are blending it, it becomes one whole logical whole. So even sometimes you are succeeding, there is a negativity in the success. Suppose you succeed in becoming a particular level of authority, and if it goes to your head, you are destroyed. You lose your humility, you lose your sense of honesty, you are destroyed. So you're actually combining creative thinking and logical thinking. This makes you very logical, at the same time it makes you creative. So Niels Bohr, a physicist, says it's the swirling of opposites in the mind that leads to creativity. A physicist, he says it's swirling of opposites in the mind that leads to creativity. Be at it, beat it, will lead to creativity. Last week I told this nice story I read somewhere. I don't know if there's time to say it, but I'll just say it. The Tata Empire chairman was holding a meeting. A worker complained that the workers' toilet was in a very bad, unhygienic condition. And you know, during this COVID, we should remember about hygiene. So that chairman asked the executive in charge of toilet hygiene, restroom hygiene, how long will it take it to get it rectified? He said 1 month. He said 1 month is too long. You send a carpenter to me tomorrow. The carpenter came, he said, you just change the boards. Executive bathrooms, toilets should be exchanged with workers' toilets. He said, you just exchange it. And after 14 days, you again re-exchange it. And what actually happened is within 3 days, both were on par. Executive toilet and workers' toilet were on par. So that is why they say critical thinking is needed for problem identification. Creative thinking is needed for problem solution. EQ thinking, you combine both creative thinking and critical thinking.
Thank you, sir. And there are two questions I'll merge into one. This question is from Madhu, Madhu, I guess. How to control short temper? One question. And added to that, Naresh G is also on the same lines. How to control short temper with peers and other employees in an organization? This guy happens to be a HR person background, and yeah, these are the two questions.
So in around the time I was doing research on this EQ thinking, there was a doctorate in communication, elderly man. He was so angry, he will get up in the middle of a meal. He picked up my CD, he switched off the light, just listened to it, and he understood the programming language. And later on, his family members said, what, you don't get angry at all, what happened to you? His students also, who knew he was a very angry person, said, what happened to you, father? So you practice this continually. You don't wait till you get angry and say, be calm, beat anger. That is, it's like India is going for a war. You cannot start training just before the war. You're continually training. This is why 24/7 you should be in training. That's why there is another principle that EQ thinking is based on, which says that all training is conscious conditioning and all conditioning is unconscious training. Now you're attending this. This is called conscious conditioning. But anything that is happening, you're walking on the road also, you're seeing a traffic jam, you're seeing some crowd there, that is also having an impact on your subconscious mind. So that is called unconscious training. So you don't wait till you get angry. You have to continuously practice, be calm, beat anger. Now all of you can practice with me, because if you want to enforce learning, before you leave the zone of learning, you must start practicing. All of you can unmute yourself. And even though it may disturb the technology, we can afford it. Unmute yourself. Host also can unmute everybody if possible. And you make a noise now as I tell you. You repeat the binary command. Be calm.
Be calm.
Beat anger.
Beat anger.
Beat anger.
Be calm.
Be calm.
Beat anger.
Beat anger. Be calm.
Be calm.
Anger.
Be calm.
Be
Beat
calm.
anger.
Be calm. Beat
Be
anger.
calm.
Calm. Beat anger.
Beat anger. Be calm. Be calm.
Calm.
Beat anger.
Beat
Beat
anger.
anger.
So,
Beat anger.
continuously, same thing you repeat continuously in your inner self-talk, silently. Whenever you are conscious of it, you practice next 21 days. Within 21 days, you find your behavior is changed. You're able to control your anger. And anger doesn't come out very easily. So that is how you don't wait till you get angry. You continuously practice right from now. You breathe in calmness. Another way to practice is breathe in calmness. All of you breathe in calmness. Breathe out anger.
Without anger.
Breathe in calmness. Breathe out anger. Breathe in calmness. Breathe out anger. So along with the oxygen, what is coming into you? Calmness. What is going out with the carbon dioxide?
Anger.
Anger. So this is very powerful method. Then visualize yourself continuously being calm, beating anger. Then modeling means combination of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Your decision making will also change. So once this thought process is taught across the world, the crime rate will come down, murder rate will come down, suicide rate will come down, and the success rate of people will improve. So it results in equilibrium in the world, better decision making, better hormone health, Our hormones, are also configured very delicately. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. That means we have fragile balances. Our thoughts affect our fragile equilibrium balances. And by the same thought, we can strengthen it, reinforce it. Now, as you're practicing be calm, beat anger, what is happening is neurons are triggered. When you're saying this, that pathway that leads to calmness, the pathway of neurons, neural pathways in your brain, which connect with the left brain and right brain, are getting widened, just like a forest path. If there's a forest path, one man goes, there will be little grass will be removed. 10 people go for 2 3 days, the path will get wider. If a lot of people, there is some pilgrimage place or something on the top of the hill and a lot of people are going, it will become soon a highway. The government itself will lay a tarred road leading to the top of where there is a pilgrimage place. So like that, your brain neural pathways, because of neural plasticity, as you're practicing this, these two nodes in the brain, the binary switches and the binary nodes will start working. And your brain itself will change, will develop. So this is the theory of EQ thinking. It's very practical, very simple. Anyone did not understand it? Okay, I'll ask one diagnostic question. When can you start practicing this?
Now only, sir.
Right now.
Already practicing.
Not tomorrow.
Now, sir.
Yeah, and when, till when can you practice it?
Started.
Now only.
Continuing.
Till when?
Till last breath.
Yes, exactly. That means you have understood this thought process.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question, and I see one of the hand raised. I don't know whether it is for an appreciation. Dr. G. Sunita,
Yes,
you're
sir.
on. Can you speak out? I see you have raised your hand.
Yes,
Any
yes, sir. Thank you,
question?
sir. Thank you, sir. First of all, I should thank you, sir, for arranging such a beautiful session. My thought process has gone to the next level, sir, by taking this session. I'm very much thankful to you, sir.
Thank you for your positive feedback.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita. And so there is one more question from Krishna's iPad. So it's an appreciation and question as well. Great content. Thank you, Krishna. Can you give some insight into daily discipline required to combat the external negatives that are seemingly everywhere?
The whole session is all about that only. Whole session is how to practice continually the mental discipline of changing your mind, by which you change your actions and habits. So this whole session, 1 hour, is dedicated to that only. So we have taught you visual method of how to practice various values, be calm, be anger. Then you can practice it with exercise. You can practice it with breathing, with walking, with swimming, with cycling, anything binary. Then you can practice it with visualization. So these are different modalities by which you can practice binary thinking. This is binary thinking thought process. So practice this binary thought process, automatically negative will convert into positivity. All negativity. You know why God allows negatives? I wrote this morning, God allows negativities so that we enjoy the full power of the positives. God allows negativities so that we enjoy the full power of the positivities. So you can practice this, it will become a habit, it will become a daily discipline. Your thought will become attitude, your attitude will become actions and discipline of habit. It will change your lifestyle. You become healthier, you live longer, and you'll be more productive. Even your longevity, because your cardiac also needs a thought process to support it. Your brain also needs a thought process to support the brain itself. So you now have a master key, which is very simple. To open the complex lock. Unlocking the the positivities and locking the negativities. Don't worry about the environment. Lock your own negativity. To change the world, you start at one corner, which is your own mind. Don't worry about outside negativities. Your biggest enemy is within yourself. To turn the monkey mind into monk mind, this is the key. That means you can practice with focus. Psychologists have said when they practice this for a few days, they find they are more focused. That means their success rate will be better in whatever target they set, whether it's health goals, I should start going for a walk every day once this lockdown is over. You will start practicing it. Your intentions will become actions and your achievement rate will improve.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there are a lot of appreciations as well. I'm not going to read into that.
I'll sum it up and send it later on in mail, because
Yeah, sure, sure, sir.
that's always feedback which encourages the trainer.
Sure. Yeah, definitely, sir. And one more question from Mr. Pavan. The question is, can it be said that self-emotional intelligence plus negating negative is equivalent to EQ?
No, it is positive plus negative is equilibrium. Positive. In an inanimate object, positive and negative can coexist. That means in an atom there is proton and electron. That is equilibrium in physical matter. But human beings, because we are spiritual, moral, intellectual, emotional, social beings, we have to negate the negative. We have the power to negate the negative. So equilibrium will come with this positive, augment your strength. The meaning is you augment your strength. All of us are what we are because of our strengths. We are not what we should be because of our weaknesses. Mr. Ravinder Rodi is what he is because of his strengths. 15 years he is working in the IT as a project manager or senior level. His strengths have brought him there. He is not what he should be because of his weaknesses. So where should he address more? He should start addressing equally to augmenting his strengths further or retaining his strengths and overcoming the weaknesses. So till now you were taught SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, but you ignore the weaknesses and threats. The biggest threat is within each of us, our own anger, fear, tension, anxiety and all that. But now we have a way of simply locking the negativities, unlocking the positive. And it's like a switch. The moment you are aware, you can just switch off. The moment you're getting angry, you don't wait till then, you practice this, and so you will be able to avoid getting angry. You will turn your anger into strength. And another secret I'll tell you, why I can speak powerfully before even chief ministers or anybody in the world, is the secret of good interpersonal communication is great intrapersonal communication. The secret of good interpersonal communication is great intrapersonal. That means what you are saying to yourself. If you are not saying to yourself, I am strong, I am good, I can do it, I am the best, I can be the best, then you will be a weak person within you. Your external communication also, when you're in front of your boss or whoever it is, will be very weak. So once you practice this, you will be confident. You can address anybody, address any issue, any problem, and come out in equilibrium. So your communication will also take a new level. Not only a thought. That's why when you shift in your thought pattern, there will be a shift in all domains of life.
Thank you, sir. Keeping the time in mind, I'm just reading a couple of only appreciation. One appreciation from Mamata. She asked the question as well. I learned a new thing today. I never heard like this topic before. Thank you, Shukar sir.
Thank you.
And one is from Stalin Gopal, Mr. Stalin Gopal. EQ Think is really realistic and excellent, sir. Thank you, Mr. Stalin. And one more. It was great evening, sir. Many truths got confirmed after listening to your talk. Thanks much, Israel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Israel. And Dr. Sunita, you asked the phone number. Actually, phone number is displayed in the chat box. I can also repeat that phone number if you want. The WhatsApp phone number, you can take it. It's 730-544-9696. I repeat, 730-544-9626. This is a WhatsApp number sent by Dr. Phillips admin, Godwin Suresh. And you can take this number, you can have this number, you can communicate or interact using WhatsApp on this number. And one more appreciation from Akash Dekor. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Nice session. Yeah. Please post in your questions if there are any. I'll give a couple of minutes so that you can.
Yeah, there is something I just wanted to speak, but my video is not working. I don't know.
Yeah, Mr. John Thomas.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
basically, when doctor was speaking about the spiritual, so I am also a person who handles the spiritual of certain people, basically the sick people, and this I have started practicing them with that. So immediately within a day or two, they are very comfortable in their situations. This I just wanted to pass it on to doctor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, John Thomas, Mr. John Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone for taking your time out and joining this webinar. We especially thank you, Dr. Prateep Philip. Thank you for your time, sir. We know you are quite busy, especially in this time of national global emergency, handling the pandemic duties. Thank you for taking time and talking to us and addressing our needs. On behalf of Icon Talks, I would like to express all our thanks to Dr. Prateep Philip and also the delegates who joined today. And yeah, finally, there is one. We would like to know your feedback from this session about this session. There is a web link on the chat box sent by Mr. Sunil Kumar Neelam. You can take that link and please send in your feedback. Right. Eventually, we would pass it on this feedback to Dr. Philip also. And we are at the end of the session almost. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Sunil Kumar Neelam, who is the CEO of Icon Talks. So to give his vote of thanks and let us know what his organization is doing about, and a couple of minutes. Please, and before I go, let Sunil speak. Don't forget to give the feedback. Take the feedback link from the chat box. So Sunil, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, good evening, all of you. It's a really amazing talk. We're really encouraged by all the feedback from the participant. First of all, we're really thank you so much for our wonderful speaker, Dr. Prateep Philip sir. In spite of all his busy schedule, thank you so much for your wonderful support and wonderful, amazing talk. And also, I would like to thank all the team members of the webinar organizers, promotions team, coordinators, and Mr. Godwin sir and Suresh sir, and each and every one. So we're really thanking so much for that wonderful webinar. So just a simple few words about that Icon Talks. Just 1.5 years back, we started Icon Talks with the motto of educate, equip, and enlighten that. So with that motto, we have started to inspire the people and the youngsters to lead the quality life. That's what our initiation with all these efforts we are doing all this. So we are running some magazine that's called Icon Talks magazine, which is helpful for that quality lifestyle. It's completely based on the lifestyle magazine. There are very good articles were collected from various sources. You can never find that in market. That's a wonderful articles we are giving. So please subscribe for our Icon Talks monthly magazine. You can get that subscription form from our website that we will send you email.
Yes,
so
sir.
thank you so much for everyone once again. Thank you all of you.
Share. Huh?
Yep. Thank you, Sunil. We are at the end of the session. Once again, we would like to express our gratitude to Dr. Prateep Philip, for taking time and talking to us. We also would like to thank all the delegates who have been part of this webinar. Hope to see you next time and have a good day. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
हाँ क्लास ना आओ ठीक है